Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new episode of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have a full show and a lot of giveaways to do. We're going to have my conversation with John Kinser, CEO of Black Ink Presents. We're going to give away a pair of tickets to see Evil Dead in concert at the Factory. Plus, later on, my conversation with James Gunn. All that and more. Stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek and Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight, listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're watching, you'll see pictures, but no video. Joey V is not in studio with me, so no video, but this is a live and a brand new show. So if you want to leave your comments in the chat there, I'll be able to see those. Also, make sure you keep an eye on the KTRS text lines, 84126. We'll probably have you text in. We might open up the phone lines if you want to call in to win those tickets I'm going to give away here very soon. We've got some fun interviews tonight. I'm waiting on a live guest. We're supposed to have author Neil E. Fisher joining us to talk about his book, Law & Order SVU Confidential. Haven't heard back from him yet, and he didn't reconfirm with me when I sent him the reconfirmation 48 hours ago. So I'm waiting to see if he calls in. If not, we've got plenty of ground to cover. I've got interviews banked that I haven't had a chance to get to, so we will lean into some of those as well. While we wait for Neil, though, I'm going to go ahead and let you have my conversation with John Kinser. He's the CEO of Black Ink Presents. If you've never been to the Factory for an event before, it's a fantastic space. We saw John Cleese there last year, I guess it was, but it's concerts. They've got comedians come through. It's really a cool event. And if you're an Evil Dead fan, my gosh, here we are in October already. This is going to be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and have my conversation right now with John Kinser. And stick around at the back end of this conversation for your chance to win a pair of tickets. Right now, we're joined by the CEO of Black Ink Presents, John Kinser. Evil Dead in concert. What better way to kick off spooky season than with a concert like this coming to the Factory October 13th? John, thanks for your time.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Boy, Evil Dead. We just had the TV series come out not too long ago. Evil Dead, the musical, is a hit no matter where it plays. And I love these movies being paired with the live music. And we're bringing this one here to the Factory. What excites you about this particular project?
What I love about this project specifically is the way that the score and horror music in general really enhances the tension and the psychological drama in the scenes. Movie music's always designed to do that, but I think that with the horror genre especially, the music really, really takes these scenes and the viewing experience to a whole new level.
And to that point, it's impossible for me to believe, after hearing this score so many times, seeing the movie, that this particular score was composer Joe LaDuca's first time composing for a motion picture. That's insane to me.
Absolutely. And he's even gone back, and we've worked closely with Joe on beautifying these arrangements and adding in a few new layers. This one's really near and dear to his heart because, as you said, it was his very first. And when we get to bring this into the theater in a live experience, it's actually most Evil Dead fans' first time ever hearing this specific music on anything except their little TV speakers.
Yeah. Gosh, and it's hard to believe. This is perfect timing. I just want to point out, because this will be happening at the Factory in Chesterfield. Fantastic venue for those of you who haven't been. Monday, October 13th, literally just 2 days away from the 44th anniversary of Evil Dead, the movie, which premiered in October 15th, 1981 in theaters across. So it's perfect timing.
Yeah. We felt very strongly that this time of year would resonate with this film and with this content, and that people would be in the mood, so to speak, to to come out to the theater and have an all new but old Evil Dead experience with us.
And you've done other projects like this. You've done Labyrinth, obviously the great score by Trevor Jones, David Bowie, Batman, Danny Elfman. That's an iconic score, all the way to Ghostbusters from the brilliant Elmer Bernstein. When you're putting out a project like Evil Dead in Concert, what do you take most strongly into consideration? Is it the music, or is it the popularity of the film that kind of drives your decision-making course as far as what project you're bringing on tour?
I mean, really, it's a lot of different thoughts that go into it. Projects like Labyrinth and Evil Dead that have smaller ensembles and almost like, a pit band. One of the things that I love about these two projects is that we are actually touring these through, smaller theaters across the country. And a lot of those theaters actually originated as movie houses, where old films were screened. And when you think about the history of cinema, so many films that were premiered or presented in those old theaters actually had a live organ or a live pit band as an accompaniment. And that was the original art form of going to the theater and experiencing cinema. And so in a lot of ways, I love these types of projects because it's a really big tip of the cap to that origin story of cinema and how we enjoyed cinema. It's now much more technologically advanced, but it really makes me feel, and what I hope it makes everyone in the theater feel, is connected to that greater fabric of cinematic history.
With a project like this, when you're touring all these different cities, you're doing 50 cities for this particular tour, do you rely on local musicians at all, or is it strictly the orchestra has been cast, as it were, and this is the orchestra and band that tours with the movie at all 50 cities?
So we have one ensemble that tours city to city, and we do cast them actually out of the Broadway circuit in New York. So all of these band members have been on various Broadway plays and performances throughout their individual careers. And the reason we do that is because the musicians that are on Broadway and working on Broadway are so accustomed to doing 6, 7, 8 shows a week and being strictly in time with the scene and where they need to be on a specific note or on a specific measure, or, they just there's just an incredible depth of talent out of that Broadway circuit that is really accustomed to working in these circumstances and utilizing click track and being able to read their sheet music and being able to stay in time with each other. And we've had just nothing but amazing experiences with amazing musicians that have all come out of the Broadway circuit of New York.
And to that point too, doing a Broadway show when you've got a live actors up on stage, timing can possibly change a little bit depending on how the scene goes. Obviously, everyone's a professional. It would seem to me as a layman almost easier for the orchestra and band to do a performance that is hey, when you hit the 10-minute and 2-second mark of the film, this particular track starts, so we need to start playing this. Am I wrong in that assumption? Is it easier for musicians to do this type of project versus a live Broadway show with a live performer?
I would say yes. While the technical acumen to do these shows still needs to be incredibly high, there's no variance in the scenes on a film. So every night, when they get to the cabin, the same notes, need to be there. And so there is a lot of consistency in that. And we also look at it being a little bit easier for these musicians because, when you're in a hit show on Broadway, you're doing like 8 shows a week.
Sure.
And when we have them out on tour, they're doing, 5 to 6 shows a week, which is, almost a cakewalk for how skilled these musicians are.
As the CEO of Black Ink Presents, you've done a bunch of different productions. You've worked with a lot of different companies, including Sony, William Morris, Disney concerts, and things like that. Is there a certain challenge that these in-concert movie music pairings bring that other projects don't present? Is it a different kind of challenge? Is there something more difficult about pulling one of these off, or is it kind of just, business as usual?
No, I wouldn't say, all projects in the creative and artistic space have their own challenges, and each project, whether you're an artist, writing an album, or you're a screenwriter trying to put together a piece of content that you're hoping gets turned into a film or into a show or whatever, they all present their own unique challenges. What's really wonderful for me is when looking at these projects, I not only get to work with the team on putting something together technically, but we also sort of act as extensions of these brands and extensions of these stories. And we get to create a vessel for people to come out and experience stories they love, possibly in a new way. And that's what really motivates me, and what really drives me is taking something like Labyrinth or Ghostbusters or Batman, stories and films that people have seen time and time again and love spending their time with that content. We get to look at it through this new creative lens and provide people an opportunity to come out and experience it with their community, with their families, with a bunch of like-minded individuals who really love these stories. And that is really, really special, especially when you can find that ground as a creative in this world.
With Evil Dead having, as we mentioned in the beginning, such a following, it's just a cult film. People love it. The work that Sam Raimi does, Bruce Campbell, and everything that's so closely associated with this. When you do these types of events, I cannot decide in my mind if I think it would be more suited for the diehard Evil Dead fan who has to have that live concert experience, or is this the perfect place to send a person who's, I'm aware of Evil Dead, but have never seen the movie. I think that would be an ideal time to go see it for the first time. Do you have any feedback? Are there audience metrics? Is there a good split between those two groups? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, it's actually a really wonderful split, because you've got the OG Evil Dead fans, the people that were alive when it was in theaters, or elder millennials like myself who saw it at the video store every week when I would go with my mom and be like, what is this? At Blockbuster Video, and always was curious about it. For those people, it's great to take a moment to get to go back to the theater and see it in a theatrical way, where we may not have had that opportunity, or maybe have only had limited opportunities to see it on the big screen. But then for people that are new to the franchise, the best place to start is at the beginning.
Yeah.
And what I always tell people about this film specifically is, not only is this the origin, and this is the kickoff of Sam Raimi's career, Joe LaDuca's career, and Bruce Campbell's career, but this film is also Sam and Ted Raimi's love letter to George Romero. And they really put this film together because they were huge George Romero fans. And if you know anything about the guerrilla style of filmmaking that George Romero did for Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead and all of his Dead series, they really embrace that on this film. And so you can see a lot of the same DNA in this original Evil Dead film that exists in George Romero's films.
And my final question before I let you go, these live to film, it seems like we're seeing more of these pop up. I know we had a great, the St. Louis Symphony a couple of years back did The Empire Strikes Back, where they show it on the big screen as the symphony at Powell Hall does the soundtrack. It seems like these events are becoming more popular. And I noticed there's a trend. I was talking to someone from Gen Z the other day, said they bought a VHS tape. And I was like, you couldn't even know what a VHS tape is, but they're going back and kind of getting these retro things. Do you think that's just kind of the way things trending? Everything old is new again? Why do you think these type of events like Evil Dead in Concert are becoming so popular?
First and foremost, I mean, I think we're in a really amazing time in terms of musical enjoyment where people are actually starting to really acknowledge and celebrate film music. We happen to also be involved with a film composer festival happening in Los Angeles called Future Ruins, where the entire lineup is just composers. Trent Reznor curated it. And so I think we're really moving into this era of people are willing to go out to events and celebrate things communally. And, for anyone like myself, who was born 1982 or after, TV, film, video games, these are, for lack of a better comparison, these are the Beatles and the Led Zeppelins and these huge keystone brands of the millennial generation forward. And honestly, when you are at something like a screening of Star Wars and they're playing John Williams music, it's almost like an opera that's playing out in front of you. Mm-hmm. And I think that there are all of these nods to the past in what we're doing with these different styles of treatments. One of the things that I love to say is I'm a huge Mozart fan. And if Mozart was alive today, he would most certainly be scoring films. Absolutely.
No, that's a great comparison. I think that paints a really good picture. Again, if you're listening, evildeadinconcert.com is the website. Check and see if it's coming to a city near you. And of course, Ticketmaster.com for tickets. Tickets are still available for our showing at the Factory October 13th at 7:30 p.m. John Kinser, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure. We're so stoked to be back in St. Louis.
Can't wait to see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
There he goes, John Kinsner. What a cool thing that will be. And it's, again, October 13th. We're going to give away a pair of tickets. I got a lot of people in the chats. I see Zachary Nathanson says, hey, everyone. We've got David DeRose watching. Ahoy. We have, looks like our friends from Mostly Superheroes are watching. Pat Hayes just checked in. We've got our friend SJ listening from California. I saw Cindy Cooper was on there earlier. So thank you to all of you for watching. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break. When I come back, I've got a trivia question in mind. I don't think it's too difficult. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give out the phone number. So if you want to call in with your answer. So anyone listening, here is the number for the KTRS studio lines. It is 314-931-5877. That's 314-931-5877. Get ready to have that number. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. As soon as I come back, I'm going to give you the trivia question. The first person to call in and get the correct answer will win 2 tickets to see Evil Dead in Concert at the Factory Monday, October 13th. So a week from this coming Monday, 7:30 p.m. They have a big costume contest before the show, too. So if you're an Evil Dead fan, show up in costume. You have the fake chainsaw on your hand or dress up as your favorite Deadite, whatever you want to do. And that should be a lot of fun. So big costume contest. You just sign up in the lobby when you get there, and they'll have the costume contest that'll take place before the show actually starts. So let's go ahead and take our first commercial break. We will come right back with that trivia question. 314-931-5877 is the number you want to call. Get that answer right, and you'll win a pair of tickets to the Factory on October 13th. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio. Please stand by.
Cardinal Hall of Famer Jason Isringhausen and Eddie Scholler from the world-famous Fast Eddie's Bonaire.
Hey, buddy, have you came over and looked at the new Eddie at Fast Eddie's? I finally got a new item. You know, it's been decades.
Decade? More like 40 years to figure out how to put a piece of shrimp on there with your steak.
I've known you for 40 years. You could have said something. Well, who'd have thought the Elwood could even get better? But we did it. We went and we made the Eddie. It's a foot-long serving church.
Not that I needed another reason to bring the whole gang down there. I'm still going to order those big Elwoods, the succulent peel and eat shrimp, a hot chick on a stick, and that famous Fast Eddie burger. And I'm always going to get one of those ice-cold frosty ones and listen to that live music on that patio every afternoon and evening.
Well, I just love adding another great item for everybody to come over and enjoy. When you come on over the beautiful Clark Bridge and look at the picturesque Mississippi River.
Picturesque. That's very eloquent.
Thank you very much.
Well, like Mr. Shannon says, if you're 21 and in the mood, come on over to picturesque Alton, Illinois, and see the very eloquent Eddie at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Hi, this is Leslie Ann Brunt. I play Mazikeen on Lucifer, and you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to the show. Geek to Me Radio, heard here every Sunday on the Big 550 KTRS. I'm your host, James Enstall. Before we get to the trivia contest, let me make sure we tell you about our premier sponsor. That, of course, is the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. You know the website, discoverstcharles.com. They are gearing up next weekend, Saturday. It will be the opening of Legends and Lanterns. If you're a Halloween fan, St. Charles is where you're going to want to be. You go out and hit the cobblestone streets, and you can interact. They've got some new characters that you can interact with, too, in addition to returning fan favorites like Lizzie Borden and other ones like the Brothers Grimm, Mary Shelley, Dorian Gray. We've got all sorts of stuff, but now they've added a few new ones. We've got cryptids. So you're going to be able to go out and talk to the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, and Mothman. How cool is that? It's always a good time. You get out there and just have fun. Dress up in costume. There's no better time than Halloween to go out and go along the cobblestone streets. Just don't ride your horse because it does kind of startle Ichabod Crane. You can meet him too. He's one of the people out there as well. But it's a great time. It'll be happening all 3 of the next weekends in October. So that is, actually I've got a calendar here. It is the 11th and the 12th, Saturday and Sunday, the 18th and the 19th, followed by Friday the 24th, Saturday the 25th, and Sunday the 26th will be the last 3 days you can go out there and have fun with Legends and Lanterns. It's a fantastic time. And then right after that, for those of you who are like, well, Halloween's not my thing. I like Christmas better. Christmas is coming up right around the corner, so you can get out there and have fun with Christmas traditions. But in the meantime, even if you're not going out for a festival, go out and enjoy some of the fantastic food out there. The restaurants they've got up and down the street there. Go check out some of the shops like the Cozy Shop, and hit up First Capital Trading Inc. and go just shop at some of these small local businesses and support those places. That's a fantastic thing to do, and have fun while you're doing it. If you're not familiar, maybe you haven't been out there lately, maybe you want to go check it out, but you're not sure where to start at the website, discoverstcharles.com. Check the things out there. While you're there, pop into the CVB in the 200 block of South Main and just say, hey, we really appreciate all it is that you do for the city and for the tourists and everything like that, because those people work very hard and they do a great job, not only in putting on these festivals, but just making sure that tourism in St. Charles is what it is. And we're so very blessed to have this in our backyard. So go over and check it out. Tell them you said hello. Tell them you heard about it on Geek to Me Radio, and go and support small businesses. DiscoverStCharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. All right, as promised, Evil Dead in concert. Remember, the costume contest is beforehand, so please show up in costume if you'd like to partake in that. Not required, of course, but it just adds that little extra level of fun. This starts at 7:30 at the factory, Monday, October 13th. So if you aren't available, don't try to call in and win the tickets. The phone number to call right now is 314-931-5877. I'll make it really easy on you because I'm feeling really generous. Who is the star, the chainsaw-wielding star, the actor in Evil Dead who plays Ash? First person to call in with that answer at 314-931-5877 will win a pair of tickets to go see Evil Dead in concert at the factory on October 13th, Monday at 7:30 p.m. Who is the actor who portrays Ash in Evil Dead, and also obviously Army of Darkness and everything like that? Ash versus the Evil Dead, all those good things. Same actor. Who is it? Be the first person to call 314-931-5877. Get the correct answer, and those tickets are yours. In the meantime, we didn't hear from my guest, Neil Fisher. I'm so disappointed because I was going to talk to him about SVU, his book that he has out, and I was going to give away the book. We'll table that. Maybe he'll either call in later, or maybe he will, grace us on another show. In the meantime, I've got all these interviews that I do during the week, and I sometimes have to bank them because if I have a live guest, well, then I've got to bump the pre-recorded stuff for the live guest. This is the movie. I know friends of mine on Facebook probably saw me post about this last week because I got a screener in advance of talking to the lead actor and the director, Emile Hirsch and Sean McNamara. The movie is called Bau Artist at War. It actually came out last weekend. It is beautiful. It's a very beautiful movie, very well acted. We'll just let the two of them and myself, obviously, tell you all about the movie while we wait for a phone call. 314-931-5877. And if you know the actor who played Ash in Evil Dead in Concert. In the meantime, here's my conversation with these two gentlemen about the film Bau Artist at War. Right now, we're joined by actor Emile Hirsch and director, writer, producer Sean McNamara. New movie out, Bau Artist at War. This is one I highly recommend for anyone to go see. Gentlemen, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. My first question I want to direct to Sean. Writer, producer, director, you do a lot of different things. This one, taking on the director's chair. How hands-on were you in the casting of this particular project?
On Bau Artist at War, I was definitely instrumental in the casting of it. That's a big part of what the director does. And every movie, I got to say, is all about casting. They say, what does the director do? And I go, casting's 95, 96% of it. And you can't get a truer statement than that. And thank God Emile Hirsch said yes to playing Joseph Bau, because it is a very tricky character. As somebody who brings warmth and humor and light, and he's a jokester, and it's to find that fine line. You're doing the movie about a World War Holocaust movie, and you have to have somebody who can still make us laugh, because that's who Joseph Bau was. He realized that if he joked with people, he could take them out of their horrible situation and bring a little light and joy to their lives. And he was an artist, and he was a forger, and it was espionage. There was so much going on, and yet he found the love of his life in a concentration camp. So to me, trying to make inspirational movies, this was the quintessential movie to make, and this was the perfect time to put it out.
Absolutely. And to that point, for Emile, Joseph Bau, they call him the Israeli Walt Disney, just the talent he had, all the stuff he did. But you do such, I can only describe your performance, Emile, as entrancing, because part of the time you're being brutally whipped and beaten by this SS guard. Next minute, you're drawing pictures and making a child laugh. That touching scene when he's thinking about rushing the fence after his sister is killed. How did you approach this role? Because it's a living person. You're taking on their shoes. Talk about your process in bringing your aspect to Joseph Bau.
Well, it all started with, Sean McNamara and I on the phone in our first meeting, and he was very insistent that Joseph had this light, humorous spirit. And he said that from day one. And so we really minded, and we wanted to make sure that all of the comedy felt true to the script and to me and what I thought was funny and what Sean thought was funny. So we weren't just regurgitating jokes that we didn't think landed. We would really, just like a good stand-up comedian or anything like that, you got to really kind of hone and work the material. It's not easy to produce things that are humorous. You don't just sit and it's right and it's perfect. If it was that easy, that's what stand-up comedians would do. They would just bang it out and then they would just say it. No, they're constantly working and refining their material. And that was what we did. That was what we did with the writers. And the producer and Sean, and they were instrumental in that. And I have my own idea of what I think is funny and what can work, but ultimately the writers would make those decisions, and luckily they made the right decisions.
And Sean said you took on this part. You said yes, absolutely. Was there any I don't want to say hesitation in taking the part, but in doing this particular role justice, because it is heavy. It's, like I said, it's a historical figure. Was there any trepidation? Was this a harder role than some of your other ones to prepare and take on?
I mean, I was absolutely thrilled to get to portray the part, and there was no trepidations at all. If anything, it was just an excitement that we were going to get the opportunity to explore this story and this time period. And the way that the movie was made the crew was so great and everyone was so professional. And we had such incredible locations and a DP who was amazing. We had a very, very good team, and so many wonderful, wonderful other actors are in this movie. And they deliver really just powerful performances. Jan Twal, who plays the Nazi, he's fantastic. And Inbar Lavi, she's so good as Rebecca Bau. It was really a powerful ensemble. And Josh Zuckerman, he's fantastic. I mean, these actors are all everyone. Adam Steckman. I mean, and they're all. Sean assembled a really, really talented cast of actors that were all incredibly committed.
And Sean, was there a particular role that was harder to find than another? Trying to find just the right Oscar Schindler, or trying to find a certain, was there a certain role that gave you more trouble to cast?
Well, it was interesting. We shot this movie partly in Poland and then in Vancouver. And when you're shooting in Vancouver, there's a certain degree of actors a certain amount of actors you have to get from Vancouver. And we had already gotten our American actors all set. And we were looking for the part of Grulin, our antagonist, our bad guy, if you will. And Jan came in and auditioned, and he was genius. So right away, we knew he was it. And, we cast him, and then they said, you can't cast him. He's actually not from Canada. And I was like, no,
oh, God.
Goodness gracious. So I had to cast, open the doors again, let people in. And there's nothing like being the right person for the role. No matter who came in, they were being compared to Jan, and Jan just had it. And at the end of the day, I said, I don't care how much it costs. We're getting this actor. He scares me. He just, when I look at him and his just genius performance, and you have to have a Joseph Bau played by Emile. You have to have somebody equally good at being the bad guy. And Jan had that talent, and thank goodness we cast him, and we just went with it. So that was just one of those little things along the way, but we ended up with the right choice.
And of course, the irony is that Jan and I got along famously and just had an amazing time working together. we're like ultra buddies.
That I love the stuff like that. Another question for Sean. I know we mentioned in the very beginning, writer, director, producer. When you're doing a project like Soul Surfer, where you're writing and directing it, you've got a lot more control than if you're just directing somebody else's project, like is the case with this one, where you're just the director. Do you find that easier, or is it a little bit of a higher degree of difficulty when you're directing someone else's work versus when you're writing and directing yourself?
Well, I love working from any which way, and this script was fantastic. And Deborah Schmierchnik, who wrote it, was very collaborative. She was on the set every day, and the thing about it is when you get an actor like Emile Hirsch, it's the performance is important, but he knows it and understands that the story is important too. And so every day we worked on the script together, and we would rewrite and polish and rewrite right up to the point that we were rolling the cameras, and that is so important. So when you have a collaborative writer, that is very important, that they see what you're doing, because the script doesn't just start and then you shoot that piece of paper. It is a moving, breathing, living organism that is changing all through production, and you make it great all the way up into the moment that you're rolling camera. And Emile understands that, and he knows that story is everything, and that's what we were able to do on this show. And it was very collaborative. Everybody got it. Everybody realized this. We're not going to just go exactly with the script. We're going to let it breathe and learn stuff about it and evolve into the script and the movie that it became.
And Emile, I'd be a terrible nerd if I didn't at least ask you about Speed Racer. I'm a huge fan. I know you watched all the original episodes before you took on the role. Do you still have an affinity for Speed Racer? Are you still picking up the occasional comic from Dynamite Comics, or is once a project is over?
I mean, I absolutely love Speed Racer. The filmmakers texted me 2 days ago and told me that they were mastering the film and for a re-release, so I was very excited to hear that news, and I think that film as a comic, manga, anime, they were way ahead of their time.
Absolutely.
Way ahead of their time. The world was not ready for Speed Racer when it came out, but the world has finally caught up now, and it's properly being hailed as just an incredible film.
I agree. And again, talking about incredible films, Bau Artist at War in theaters as of Friday, September 26th. Make sure to check it out. Emile Hirsch, Sean McNamara, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Could have had more with the both of them. That was a fun conversation, but I cannot recommend this movie highly enough. Like I said, I got the screener in advance. It's beautiful. It's heartbreaking, but it's about overcoming just unbearably heavy odds, and it's well worth the watch, especially in today's current climate. It's one of those things we kind of need to be reminded of, that there is just that's a horrible period in human history, but people persevered, people overcame, and it's gloriously acted, well directed. The score is gorgeous, so I highly recommend, if you get the chance, if you're wanting to go check out a movie, look up Bau, B-A-U, Artist at War. Bau Artist at War. Go check that movie out. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And if you enjoyed it as much as I did, give me a text or a call or shoot me an email. Let me know how much you enjoyed it. On the KTRS text lines at 84126, we have someone from the 314 area code says, if Neil calls in, ask him what his favorite thing about writing the Law and Order SVU Confidential was. It's from listener John. On a side note, John has pre-ordered the book from Betty's Books and can't wait for it to be out. I started reading. I've read probably about the first third of it. It's really enjoyable, and I can't say I've seen many SVU episodes, but I mean, it's been going now for almost 25 years, so it's hard to consume them all. Our friend Brittany says, hi James, it's Brittany and Opal with the 25th anniversary for Gilmore Girls. We want to know Sean's favorite Gilmore Girls memory. Brittany and Opal, thanks for listening. Also on the KTRS text lines there. Sean's not live, but I did ask him about Gilmore Girls. Obviously, I had to. We talked about a lot of cool stuff. We talked about Angel. We talked about his work in Guardians. And he gave us a really cool answer. I said, is there something, do you ever tell your brother, no, I'm not doing that? And he gave a very surprising answer, which I can't wait for you to hear this interview. But before we do that, I want to congratulate listener David D. He's the one who called in. Very first caller, nailed the answer. It was indeed Bruce Campbell played Ash. So David D. will be going to see Evil Dead in concert at the Factory October 13th at 7:30 p.m. If you missed out on winning the tickets, though, because I saw another line was ringing as I was talking to David, so I'm sorry if I wasn't able to pick up. But again, tickets are available for that, and you can make sure you go participate in the costume contest before the show starts. So get there a little early, have a cocktail, participate in the costume contest, and enjoy Evil Dead and that wonderful, wonderful score you'll hear being played live as the movie goes on. Going to take another quick commercial break before we get into the interview with Sean Gunn. All your questions will be answered. And again, he'll be appearing at GalaxyCon St. Louis this coming weekend, the 11th and 12th. He's only there Friday and Saturday, but you'll get out and be able to get a chance to see him along with a bunch of other cool people. Stand by. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Thanks, Farmer Dave. Summer may be winding down, but that means the great weather is moving in. Time to get the convertibles, motorcycles, and sports cars out. We're selling them at a brisk pace. As a result, we need to buy even more of them. If you have a very clean, classic, collectible, convertible, sports car, or even an everyday car you want to sell, how about an entire collection? We'll buy it all. And if we're buying them, of course, we sell them too. Check out our site for some of the finest hand-picked vehicles for sale in the country. Ours are that good. Give us a look. It'll be worth your time.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
Football is back, which means Dogtown is back. Dogtown Pizza, that is. And with 12 games on Mizzou's upcoming football schedule, you can have a different pizza every game. Kick off the season with a bacon, have a hot chicken on homecoming, and save that pepperoni peppercini, my favorite, for Arkansas. It's football season, and nothing goes better with the pigskin than a hot Dogtown Pizza. Let's cheer on those Missouri Tigers. M-I-Z-D-O-G, Dogtown Pizza, and dogtownpizza.com.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to the show, Geek to Me Radio. I'm your host, James Enstall. I want to thank you all for listening. Olivia Miller in the chats. I can't think of what that might be. I'm assuming you meant, remember him from a post-apocalypse movie. I'm assuming you mean Emile Hirsch, but I would have to go look at his IMDb. Nothing's immediately springing to mind, but I'll see if I can look it up and get an answer for you on that. We'll make sure we tell you about our premier comic book sponsor, Bugs Comics and Games. If you want to head out to O'Fallon, right there on Bryan Road, easily accessible from either Highway 70 or from 364. Pop in if you're looking for new issues, if you're looking for back issues, if you're looking for some action figures, if you're looking for some Pokemon cards, if you just need to get some supplies, like, boy, I need to rebag and board my comics, which is, that's therapy for me. Sitting down and watching a movie while I put fresh bags and backboards on comics, that's a fun afternoon for me. I know I'm getting older and I'm a very boring guy. That may sound boring. It's great. Trust me, especially when you've got a beverage of choice in hand. But go out and see Larry at Bugs Comics and Games if you're looking for a new comic, if you're looking for maybe a comic that you used to have and you're kind of, well, I know what the cover looks like. Larry's really good. If you describe the cover to him, he'll probably be able to tell you exactly what the issue is and whether or not he's got it in stock. If he doesn't have it, he'll probably be able to find it for you, because it's like having a comic concierge plus a comic archaeologist plus it's like Q from James Bond. Also, he knows what he's talking about, knows his stuff. If you want an ally in the comic book business, he's your guy. So go check him out. If you're not actually from the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area and can't make it out to his store, you can follow him on Instagram at Bugs Comics and ANDGames.com, or I guess Instagram, so it's just at Bugs Comics and Games. Facebook.com, Bugs Comics and Games as well. You can follow him and like his page there. He'll post stuff from time to time that you can buy. Maybe your local comic book shop didn't have that certain variant that you wanted. Larry lists those for sale online. He hasn't jacked the price up like some people do when they post a variant online. He's going to give you the best price you can get for it. Bugs Comics and Games. Make sure you check him out. Very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. Without further ado, you know him, you love him from so many TVs and movies. St. Louis boy, Sean Gunn. My interview with him, make sure you catch him at GalaxyCon this coming weekend. Here is my conversation with him. Joining me now, anyone who listens to my show is familiar with this person's work, from Max Lord in the most recent Peacemaker, and of course Superman on the big screen, Creature Commandos, Guardians of the Galaxy, and more stuff that we can probably talk about here. Sean Gunn, thanks for their time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. I know you were just in St. Louis this past December for the big holiday benefit at the Rep. Do you ever get tired of coming home?
Oh, no, not at all. First of all, I always an injection of Emo's Pizza, so that that helps. I'll be in St. Louis again pretty soon. So, and also my mom is still there, and I have other family as well. But I love getting home to see my mom.
Yeah, and speaking of, as you said, GalaxyCon coming up here October 10th through the 12th here in St. Louis. A lot of cool people. Sean Gunn, obviously one of the many people you can come out to meet. Tickets are still available for that event. I just did Terrificon, which I know you've been to before. Mitch puts on a great event up there in Connecticut. I was talking to Michaela Hoover. She tells me she makes a really good gooey butter cake. Can you verify?
Is that right? Well, I know it doesn't compare to my mom's, but I know this may be heresy, but I was always on the lower end. All of my siblings go crazy for gooey butter cake, and I'm a little I'm a little lower on it. It's a little sweet for my taste, but
I'm sorry, that's all the time we have, Sean. I have to let you go now. That's nothing wrong with that. Everyone's
get it.
taste is different. I was curious.
I get it, but yeah.
Oh, I was going through your IMDb thing, and I went back. I'm a huge Angel fan, and you not only did one episode of that, you did 2 episodes. You were there, I'm assuming, because it was still season 1. They brought you back for that second one without any makeup to make up for the fact that they had all that Bracken Demon makeup on you in the first one. I can't imagine the time that took to put all those little spikes on.
Yeah, that took quite a long time. And yeah, I did 2 episodes of Angel. I played 2 different characters. A little factoid of trivia is that I was up for one of the lead roles on Angel. I tested to be the character that the late Glenn Quinn ended up playing. And I was really close to getting that role. And it would have sent my career in a completely different trajectory, but I didn't get it. And then I knew that I think they kept kind of trying to find something for me to get in, and particularly with the second character I played, there was some thought that he might recur and come back, and then it just kind of didn't work out. So Angel to me will always be one of those what might have been shows.
And you were very good at it. And obviously, you were at that time, you were still, I assume, doing Gilmore Girls episodes as well, because you did 137 episodes of that on and off between that period of time. So I'm assuming you were just, when you weren't on Gilmore Girls, you were doing other shows, and a lot of them.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of TV at that point. I think that the first time I did Angel was probably even before Gilmore Girls, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I know I certainly tested for it before I was a regular on the show. And so I was, the funny thing about Gilmore Girls is that I did 7 years on that show, and all of the first 2 seasons, I thought that it was possible every episode I did would be my last. Wow. I was sort of floating episode to episode, not knowing how long it would end up lasting. And then they finally made me a regular in season 3, and I was on for good. But until then, I was working on a lot of other stuff.
I'm always shocked whenever I see they've got all these fans come out for Gilmore Girls, whoever might be at an event with you, or if you're there by yourself, you have so many fans, that show. And then obviously they brought it back. Are you surprised by how much that show has resonated and stayed in the zeitgeist?
Oh, I can't even tell you how crazy it is. It's, the idea, first of all, we're like really right now celebrating our 25th anniversary of when the show first aired. Gosh, almost exactly. I don't know what date it aired, but I think it came on in September of 2000. So, it is the show that never dies. And I mean that in a good way. And I just, it's so crazy to me to meet, 8, 9, 10-year-old girls today who Gilmore Girls is their favorite show. I have nieces and nephews who are in school, and their classmates all can't believe that their uncle is the guy who played Kirk, which to me is nuts. It's like even more so than the Marvel stuff or the DC stuff that I've done. It's just the fandom is wild. And the show itself was a modest hit, but it was a modest hit for the CW, when it was on. It was not a massive show. It really wasn't until later when the DVDs started selling really well, and then particularly when it came onto Netflix. And it really took off when the show went to Netflix. And I will always be amazed by it.
You've done so many different TV shows. I just quickly, the ones that resonated and immediately popped in my Third Rock from the Sun, Michael Richards Show, Inside Schwartz, Andy Richter Controls the Universe. When you're doing these different TV episodes, has there ever been one, like the lead on a show who you've worked with and like, gosh, that was an impressive bit of acting? Do you remember, was there one or two particular actors who you were most blown away by their professionalism or their dedication to the craft?
Yeah, that's a great question. And and you kind of mentioned them right there. First of all, I just thought that John Lithgow was the most amazing person to work with. I did 1 week on that show, and he was so warm and inviting. And everybody who was on the show would gather in in his dressing room to do a read through of just the actors before they went out and performed. And it was part of his thing that, like, to really create this community of actors trying to make something good. And he was he is such a kind person. I think I got a Christmas card from him that year.
Oh, wow.
Later in the year, he was such a nice guy. And just the idea that you can be number one on the call sheet and that will trickle down to everyone on the show in terms of how gracious and warm and inviting everyone was. And I would also point out, just from a performance point of view, working with Michael Richards was really wild because he was so precise. You know, he does what Michael Richards did was a lot of times it almost looked improvisational, but he was actually like mapping every single solitary movement that he made. And that was very interesting to observe as a performer.
And we talk about TV, but all the big screen stuff you've done, I'd have to say, credit to you, the entire cast, and of course, your brother James for the writing. For my money, one of the best films of 2016 was The Belko Experiment. That was amazing. I love that movie.
Thanks. That movie was a blast to film, I'll tell you that, because it was a whole bunch of it was a bunch of really good people. There are a bunch of actors in there that I've known for a long time. My brother, as the producer, was able to there's so many small roles that he was able to get in some people that we had known for a long time. And we were in Bogota, Colombia for about a month, and it was just a blast. We were just, killing each other during the day and drinking aguardiente and salsa dancing at night. And it was one of the best times I've ever had. But thanks for shouting that one out.
Yeah, I'm sure your brother has probably blocked me on all social media because I keep occasionally will pester him. Hey, when are we getting a sequel? Would it be nice to get a sequel to Belko Experiment? So just apologize to him if he says, oh, that guy.
I will. I wish we would get one. I don't know. Sadly, that movie just didn't. I think there's, whatever. You can always get into what works and doesn't work and why certain things resonate with an audience and others don't. But Belko Experiment didn't quite take off the way that I thought maybe it could have.
Yeah, it definitely was a disappointment to me that more people didn't go out and see it and it wasn't as well received. But everyone I've showed it to is, wow, this was nuts in the best possible way. So hopefully you never know. And with all the other stuff, obviously making the switch Marvel versus DC, how much of a comic book fan were you before you got into all these? And were you more Marvel or DC back in the day?
I really wasn't. My brother James has always been the comic book guy, and he knows everything. He knows the far corners of both the Marvel and DC universes. I was more like, as a kid, I was more into like baseball and sports and stuff like that. I always loved movies and I always loved TV shows and that element of pop culture. But comic books, other than like raiding his crates and looking through stuff that he had, I never was a big comic book guy. So I think that serves me a little bit today. In that I don't have a dog in the race. I'm not rooting for one or the other. I don't have these like niche characters that I'm dying to see on the screen. I get to just kind of take them as they come. And I get to experience a lot of these stories, in a new way because I'm not as familiar with the lore and the background.
And I know you mentioned James Gunn. I know it's very kind of you as an actor to help him out with his little writing and directing projects he does. But I'm curious, has there ever been something where, you do these fantastic things? You're on screen as Rocket. You're doing voices for him in these projects. Yes, I'll be Maxwell Lord. Has there ever been something that he's asked you to do? And you don't have to be specific where it's like, James, that's a bridge too far, buddy. I'm not going there. You're my brother, but no. I will actually give you something that's sort of a specific. First of all, I don't think that I've ever said no to. There have been a couple things I've done that I was like, I really did not enjoy that, but that was a longer time ago. And I'm not ashamed to take a little humility here and say that when he first told me about Creature Commandos, I
I thought that I was only, I thought that maybe I was only going to be playing Weasel in Creature Commandos. And after doing Weasel in Suicide Squad, I was really unsure if I wanted to do it. I'm like, to go to a booth, an ADR booth, and just grunt and squawk and squeal and growl, over and over again. I'm like, I just don't know that I'm cut out for that. It's just, I didn't even share that with him yet. I was just on the fence about it. And he told me, look, there's another character who actually speaks that I also want you to play. And then he told me about G.I. Robot. And then I read the scripts. And after reading the scripts, I was like, holy Christmas, this is really just fantastic. And I got to say, I'm so happy that I sort of stuck with it there, because it's one of my favorite things I've ever done in my career. I really think Creature Commandos is a phenomenal piece of work, and I'm very, very proud of it.
It was brilliant. I mean, I had to binge it. I was like, I got to keep going. I kind of like to let shows sit and not consume them all at once generally. And that's when I kind of had racked up, and I blew through it all, I think, in like 2 days. Cause it was just so good. I'm excited to see it's greenlit for another one coming to us.
Yeah. It's a cool thing about it too, is that it's only all together. It's only about 3 or so hours of content. So now that it's all been released, you can sit down and just watch it like a long movie.
Yeah.
And it really holds up. It really holds up like that. Yeah.
My final question before I let you go, I know, as we mentioned at the beginning, you'll be appearing here in St. Louis once again with GalaxyCon October 10th through the 12th. If you're hearing this after the fact in the podcast form, scroll down to the bottom of the page and we'll have a link in the show notes where you can get your tickets. What is the weirdest thing someone has ever asked you to sign at one of these events?
Oh, well, I mean, that's actually pretty easy, because the weirdest thing would be signing somebody's body and then having them come back the next day with my signature having been tattooed on their body, which has happened more than once, believe it or not. And it's happened with signatures, and it's also happened just with doodles. Someone will ask me to like draw a little picture on their arm, and then they'll get that tattooed. And I guess you've made it when you get there. I got to point out, by the way, that the convention itself is the 10th and the 12th. I'm only going to be there the 10th and 11th.
Okay, good to know.
Friday and Saturday, I have another secret project I can't talk about, but that I have to go travel back on Sunday to do.
Gotcha. So we'll make sure to get out there on Friday or Saturday to see you. And since we are governed by FCC here on the radio show, I won't ask what the weirdest body part is you've been asked to sign. We'll leave it at that. Sean Gunn, it's been an absolute pleasure. Looking forward to seeing you here in St. Louis in just a couple of weeks.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me on. And I look forward to talking to you again.
We'll make sure to bring him my Kraglin Funko Pop to sign when he's here in town. I'll be hanging out at GalaxyCon on Friday the 10th. So if you're down there on Friday and you see me, come say hello, and I'll probably have some Geek to Me Radio stickers to give out, and maybe some other surprises too. We'll see. But yeah, please, if you see me, say hello. I'd love to know how you're enjoying the con and what's going on and who you are excited about seeing at GalaxyCon. Olivia Miller, yes, as your question was there in the chats, he is a fan of neither DC nor Marvel in particular, just kind of a fan of both, and that came to him later. James is the comic book guy, James Gunn. Robert Jones, great interviews tonight. Thank you very much, Robert. I appreciate that. Thanks for listening. It's been a full show. I'm sorry we didn't get to have Neil on. I'll reach out. Hopefully we can get him on. Hopefully he's okay. I always worry that's if one of my guests doesn't show up, I'm like, oh gosh, I hope they're okay. Cause we had something like that happen before, but hopefully we'll get him on again to talk about that book. But my thanks to Sean Gunn. My thanks to Emile Hirsch and Sean McNamara. My thanks to John Kinser, and congratulations again to David D for winning those tickets to go see Evil Dead in concert at the Factory. Those tickets are still available. Make sure you check out Legends and Lanterns happening next weekend as well. Go down to GalaxyCon, but then head out to St. Charles. And that's all free. All the fun you can have out there for Halloween, all free of charge, courtesy of the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thanks to Bugs Comics and Games. We appreciate them, the official comic book sponsor of Geek to Me Radio. Thank you to Joey V for making the show sound as good as it does. He's running the audio tonight and streaming it. So no, he's not in studio with me, so that's why we didn't have video, but he still ran the video the audio from remote destination. So thank you to Joey V for that. Thank you to all of you listening tonight. We had a full boat tonight. I hope I tried to pay more attention to the chats, because when my interviews are pre-recorded, I get to do that. Until next week, my friends.
Radio.